could the asteroid Apophis pose a real danger after all? Back in 2029, scientists gave the all-clear for the 350-meter space rock expected to pass close to Earth, but new concerns have surfaced. Trajectory specialist Paul Wigard now warns that under certain conditions, a direct impact is still possible. But what kind of destruction could an impact cause? Could Apophis turn into a second Dino-killer? In today's video, we'll explore the scenarios that could put Earth in the asteroid's path, and the defense strategies humanity might use if things take a turn for the worse. It's no accident this asteroid was named Apophis, the cosmic counterpart to the ancient Egyptian god of chaos and destruction. Discovered in 2004, it once reached the highest level ever recorded on the Torino impact hazard scale and sparked a wave of global media panic. Initially, the enormous space rock sparked immediate concern, with suspicions it could strike Earth on April 13, 2029, ironically, a Friday the 13th. Early estimates placed the chance of impact as high as 2.7%, not just for 2029, but also for the years 2036 and 2068. However, nearly 25 years after its discovery, the outlook has dramatically changed. Thanks to extensive follow-up observations, scientists now consider an impact in 2029 virtually impossible, unless, of course, some unexpected event throws off all our calculations and Apophis suddenly veers onto a collision course. More accurate trajectory analyses have revealed that the asteroid Apophis will make a close approach to Earth in April 2029. In astronomical terms, close still means a distance of about 32,000 kilometers, close enough to pass beneath the altitude of geostationary satellites. This, of course, assumes its path remains unchanged. However, that's not entirely the case. Scientists discovered 5 years ago that solar radiation pressure nudges Apophis by approximately 170 meters each year. While this subtle shift isn't enough to send the asteroid on a collision course in 2029, it could pose a threat during future flybys. Ultimately, the sun's radiation isn't the only factor influencing Apophis's path, and it may not be the last to enter the equation. Paul Wigard from the University of Western Ontario explains that even our most advanced predictions can't completely rule out the chance that Apophis could be struck by a small asteroid, just as Earth frequently is. As an expert in orbital calculations, he notes that such an impact might not leave the 350-meter asteroid unaffected. In fact, it could transfer enough momentum to alter its current trajectory. So, what would it take for Apophis to collide with Earth? The challenge is made even greater by the fact that we can't currently observe it. Apophis will remain too close to the Sun to be visible through even the most powerful telescopes until 2027. What might happen in the months and years ahead, and whether Apophis could alter its course, won't be fully known until about 2 years before its close approach to Earth. Fortunately, scientists don't have to simply wait idly until then. In the meantime, they can assess the risk of Apophis being deflected before April 2029 using advanced simulations. That's exactly what astronomer Paul Wigard has been working on. His first step was to determine how large another asteroid would need to be in order to significantly alter Apophis's path. Earlier studies have indicated that a lateral shift of around 200 kilometers would be enough to send Apophis on a trajectory toward the next gravitational keyhole. This refers to a small region near Earth where the planet's gravity would alter the asteroid Apophis's path in 2029, setting it on a trajectory that could lead to a collision with Earth during its next pass in 2036. Wigard determined that even a collision with an object as small as 60 centimeters could cause this. Specifically, the impact would change Apophis's speed by approximately 0.00031 meters per second, shifting its trajectory by 200 kilometers. However, for Earth to be in the asteroid's path as soon as April 2029, a much larger momentum transfer would be required. For this to occur, Apophis's speed would need to change by 0.005 meters per second, which, according to Wigard, would necessitate a collision with a rock fragment around 3.4 meters in size. Simply colliding with Earth wouldn't be enough. it would need to happen at a precise moment and in the correct direction. The critical question is, how likely are such scenarios? According to Wigard, approximately 140 objects measuring 60 centimeters strike Earth each year, while for objects around 3.4 meters in size, the average is just 1. If we adjust this for the much smaller cross-section of AUS, the impact rate drops accordingly. Ultimately, the probability of an asteroid hitting the next keyhole is 1 in a million. As for the possibility of Apophis striking Earth as soon as 2029, the odds are even lower, about 1 in 100 million. Furthermore, since only 5% of these impacts would give the asteroid the necessary momentum, the probability decreases even more, dropping to 1 in 2 billion. The risk of an impact from Apophis is extremely low, but very low doesn't mean zero. If we entertain the worst-case scenario, where everything that could go wrong actually does, what would an Apophis impact mean for Earth and its inhabitants? Could it become the next Dino-killer and trigger an apocalyptic event? Fortunately, that's unlikely because the asteroid is too small, measuring just 350 meters in diameter. However, this doesn't mean Apophis would be harmless. Experts suggest that its impact would create a crater several kilometers across and could potentially devastate an area the size of Central Europe. In terms of energy, the impact would release the equivalent of 900 million tons of TNT, about 60,000 times the destructive power of the Hiroshima atomic bomb. To impact the entire surface of the Earth, an asteroid like Apophis would require an amount of energy approximately 100 times greater than what would be needed for a localized strike. However, the true consequences of an impact depend heavily on the specific location where Apophis would strike the planet. If it were to collide with the ocean instead of the land, it could trigger a massive tsunami, potentially towering over 100 meters high, devastating coastlines and regions far inland. That said, whether such a catastrophic event would actually occur in a worst-case scenario remains uncertain. It's important to note that, despite these potential threats, humanity is not entirely defenseless against celestial dangers. While we have not yet faced an emergency of this magnitude, we have already demonstrated our ability to respond effectively to space threats. Through ongoing research, monitoring systems, and technological advancements, we are more prepared than ever to defend the planet from hazardous objects, should such a crisis arise in the future. As you may have already guessed, we're referring to the groundbreaking success of NASA's DART mission, which took place in 2022. During this historic mission, NASA launched the autonomous space probe to target a 165-meter-wide asteroid moon named Dimorphos. The goal was to alter its orbit by colliding with it at high speed in a controlled impact. And, to everyone's excitement, it worked. When the DART spacecraft crashed into Dimorphos at a speed of about 6.6 kilometers per second, it created a thunderous impact. But the results were even more impressive. The collision successfully shortened Dimorphos's orbit around its parent asteroid, Didymos, proving that even a small spacecraft could alter the path of an object in space. The DART probe itself was relatively small, weighing just 570 kilograms, while Dimorphos weighed around 5 billion kilograms, making the achievement even more remarkable. Not only did the impact change the trajectory of the asteroid moon, but it also sent around 900,000 kilograms of debris into space. Some of this material is expected to fall to Earth as shooting stars in the 2030s, creating what could be the first ever artificial meteor shower. This extraordinary feat demonstrated that with the right technology, we might one day be able to prevent potential asteroid impacts with Earth, using relatively small and cost-effective means. While Apophis has often been the center of attention when it comes to asteroid threats, it's important to note that it isn't the only space rock currently keeping scientists on high alert. One such asteroid, 2024 YR4, recently garnered significant global attention following its discovery in December of last year. Initially, there were widespread concerns about a potential collision with Earth in 2032. However, further observations have now confirmed that 2024 YR4 will miss our planet during that time. Despite this reassuring news for Earth, the situation for the Moon remains uncertain.